first graders, this is Mrs. Ingalls here with today's shared reading lesson. We will be working on the standards 1.6i, monitor comprehension and make adjustments such as rereading, using background knowledge, and checking for visual clues when understanding breaks down. Our targets for today: I can monitor my comprehension by interacting with the text using pictures or writing to track my thinking. What that means is when we monitor our comprehension, we think about what we're thinking about. So we make sure we're understanding, we make sure we know what's happening in a book that we're listening to or reading ourselves. We stop when something doesn't make sense, or sometimes we interact with the text. We keep track along the way and keep little notes of what we're thinking while we're reading. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to use sticky notes and my marker to write down things that I'm thinking about, or different parts of the text, what different parts of the text or book that I'm reading make me think about, to make sure I'm understanding what's happening. So I brought along one of my favorite books today, and the title is The Art Lesson by Tommy DePola. Now, before I start reading this, I want to talk to you about something very important. When we are reading or listening to a story, there's nothing more important than to be thinking about the words and what's happening in the text. Reading is thinking. Reading is all about thinking of what's happening in the story and making sure you understand. We're going to track our thinking and monitor our comprehension by taking little notes throughout the story. I always like to start out by looking at the cover of the text. The cover gives us a lot of information, and it really starts my brain thinking right away. So I want to look at this cover, and I want to talk about what I think the book's going to be about. So I'm looking at it, and as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, I see a little boy with a big smile on his face, and some crayons, and some paints, and a picture, paintbrushes, and paper, and this makes me think that this boy really loves art. This must be one of his favorite things to do. What I want to do to remind myself of that is I'm going to get out a sticky note, and I'm going to write that note about the boy. I'm going to write, he looks like he loves art. I'm going to track my first bit of thinking that I got from looking at the front cover. And I'm going to write, this boy really loves art. Okay, that's what I put on this first sticky note. See, the little boy, this boy really loves art. That's what I was thinking already before I even opened up the text. So boys and girls, we can be thinking right away, right from looking at the cover. We can think. I'm going to continue to track my thinking about what's happening in the story. Tommy knew he wanted to be an artist when he grew up. He drew pictures everywhere he went. It was his favorite thing to do. Ooh, I want to stop right here for a second. That just made me think of something. It made me think of my daughter. It said Tommy knew he wanted to be an artist when he grew up. He always knew it. He loved art. That made me think about my daughter, who has always loved animals. And ever since she was a real little girl, she said she wanted to grow up and be a veterinarian. So I'll say, it makes me think of my daughter, and because she always wanted to be a vet, just like Tommy knew he wanted to be an artist when he grew up. By keeping notes or written tracks of my thinking, I won't forget what I was thinking about as I was reading this text or this book. His friends had favorite things to do too. Jack collected all kinds of turtles. Herbie made huge cities in his sandbox. Jeannie, Tommy's best friend, could do cartwheels and stand on her head. But Tommy drew and drew and drew. They were all thinking about things they love, and it makes me think of something that I really love. I love the beach. I want to keep track of that I have favorite things just like they do in the text. So I'm going to draw a picture showing the beach because that's something that I love. So on my picture of the beach, I'm not doing the best that I can. I'm just making a quick sketch or quick picture to remind me of what I was thinking about when I was reading. So I don't have to make sure it's fancy and colored in. It's just a track of my thinking. Reading's all about thinking, and now we know how we can keep track of our thinking while we're reading or listening to a story. We can write little notes, and it's okay if you don't have Post-it notes. You can use little pieces of paper that you cut into squares. Let's keep going. His twin cousins, who were already grown up, were in art school learning to be real artists. They told him not to copy and to practice, practice, practice. So he did. Tommy put his pictures up on the walls of his half of the bedroom. Tom and Nana, Tommy's Irish grandfather and grandmother, had his pictures in their grocery store. Nana Fall River, his Italian grandmother, put one in a special frame on the table next to a photograph of Aunt Chloe in her wedding dress. Wow, I'm thinking something right now. I'm thinking that Tommy's family must be very proud of him and his art because he is proud of himself. He hangs them up in his bedroom. Nana and his Papa hang them up at their store, and one of his grandmothers even put it next to a very special picture of his aunt's wedding. Wow, I think they must be really proud of Tommy's work. I want to record that. I'm going to keep track of that so I remember that when I'm thinking about the text after I'm done reading. Right there, I wrote, his family is proud of him, and I even drew one of his pictures of a flower that he drew with tape on the edges to show that they hung it up. Tommy couldn't wait to go to kindergarten. His brother Joe told him there was a real art teacher who came to school to give art lessons. When do we have our art lessons? Tommy asked the kindergarten teacher. Oh, you won't have your art lessons until next year, said Miss Bird, but we are going to paint pictures tomorrow. Tommy knew that the art teacher came to the school every other Wednesday. He could tell she was an artist because she wore a blue smock over her dress, and she always carried a big box of thick colored chalk. Once, Tommy and Jeannie looked at the drawings that were hung up in the hallway. They were done by the first graders. Your pictures are much better, Jeannie told Tommy. Next year, when we have art lessons, you'll be the best one. Tommy could hardly wait. He practiced all summer. Then on his birthday, which was right after school began, his mom and dad gave him a box of 64 Crayola crayons. Regular boxes of crayons had red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, brown, and black. This box had so many colors. It had blue violet, turquoise, red orange, pink, and even gold, silver, and copper. Class, said Miss Landers, the first grade teacher, next month the art teacher will come to our room. So on Monday, instead of singing, we will practice using our crayons. On Monday, Tommy brought his 64 crayons to school. Miss Landers was not pleased. Everyone must use the same crayons, she said. School crayons. School crayons had only the same old 8 colors. As Miss Landers passed them out to the class, she said, these crayons are property of school, so do not break them or peel off the paper or wear down the points. How am I supposed to practice being an artist with school crayons? Tommy asked Jack and Herbie. That's enough, Tommy, Miss Landers said, and I want you to take those birthday crayons home with you and leave them there. And Joe was right. They only got one piece of paper. I need to record my thinking. Right now, I am really thinking that Tommy is sad And that makes me sad. I feel so sad because he was so excited about art lessons because he loves drawing and he even wants to be an artist when he grows up. And he couldn't wait to get to school and have real art lessons, but they were nothing like he imagined. So that makes me feel very sad for Tommy. So I'm going to draw a sad face so that I remember that when he got to finally have art lessons, he was sad. So I just drew that picture to remind me that's keeping track of my thinking. That will help me understand what I'm reading. Today, we practice monitoring our comprehension by tracking our thinking. We took little notes in writing, or even some of them were in pictures. And what this does is it helps me make sure I understand what I'm reading about, and it gives me something to go back and look at if I'm having trouble remembering some information about the story. I want you to find a book, and I want you to practice tracking your thinking. All right, I can't wait to hear about what you did. Bye-bye.